For most of human history, the question was simple. How do I survive? Find food, find shelter, stay alive. For generations, that single question consumed the entirety of human existence. Today, millions of people face a radically different problem. What do I do with my life? To most of our ancestors, that question would have sounded like an impossible luxury. For thousands of years, direction arrived long before choice. The family shaped the trade, the village shaped the future, religion provided meaning. The path was rarely easy, but it was visible. Most people inherited a map before they inherited freedom. We inherited something else: options, careers, lifestyles, identities, infinite possibilities for who to become. In many ways, this is a remarkable civilizational achievement. Human freedom expanded, choice multiplied, and the old constraints weakened. The modern project worked. But freedom introduced a quiet, terrifying problem. Because freedom tells us what is possible, it cannot tell us what to do with it. And that explains the strangest paradox of modern life. We have more opportunities than any generation before us, yet anxiety, burnout, and uncertainty continue to skyrocket. We have more options and less certainty about what any of them are actually for. What happens when everything becomes possible, but nothing feels necessary? This is the burden of authorship, the moment freedom stops feeling like liberation and starts feeling like responsibility. For most of history, purpose was not a personal project. People rarely woke up asking what they should do with their lives. The answer was already waiting for them. Communities provided belonging, families provided responsibility, traditions provided direction. Some of those systems were restrictive, unfair, and deserved to disappear. But they offered something modern life struggles to provide: orientation. Today, the map is gone. In its place stands the individual, free, empowered, and increasingly overwhelmed. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard saw this long before smartphones and algorithms. His question was simple: what happens when the individual must choose everything for himself? The answer, he believed, was anxiety. Not because freedom is inherently bad, but because freedom creates absolute responsibility. Every choice closes 1,000 doors. Every path taken abandons countless others. And suddenly, the modern individual faces a psychological weight previous generations rarely experienced. We often describe anxiety purely as a mental health issue, but perhaps anxiety is simply the emotional cost of standing before infinite possibility. Modern people no longer compare themselves to a single local path. They compare themselves to countless global alternatives flashing across a screen. A founder building a company in California, a digital nomad working from Bali, a millionaire retiring before 30. Every day, competing versions of success arrive on our feeds. Each one quietly asked, "Why aren't you living this life?" The result is a strange form of paralysis. A person no longer asked, "Can I do this?" They asked, "Which life should I choose?" And every life not chosen becomes a ghost, a hunting version of who you might have been. In a world of infinite options, your indecision is not a character flaw. It is a rational response to an impossible menu. This is why purpose feels so difficult to find, not because there are too few options, but because there are too many. The hidden villain of modern life is not oppression. It is infinite possibility. And when people lose true direction, they quickly reach for artificial substitutes. Success becomes purpose. Visibility becomes significance. Productivity becomes meaning. Personal branding becomes identity. The promise is seductive. Stay busy enough, successful enough, and visible enough, and meaning will eventually arrive. Sometimes it does, often it doesn't. Because achievement and purpose are not the same thing. A promotion can tell you that you are valuable to a marketplace. It cannot tell you why you are here on this earth. Modern culture treats purpose like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered, a random passion waiting to be found. But what if purpose works entirely differently? What if purpose is not something you uncover? What if it's something you accept? The people who seem most certain about their direction rarely begin with certainty. They begin by committing themselves to something beyond their own fleeting preferences, a craft, a responsibility, a mission, a community, a problem worth solving. And in that commitment, purpose slowly emerges, gradually, like a path becoming visible only after you start walking. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl spent years studying one of humanity's deepest questions. Why do some people endure extraordinary suffering while others collapse under far less? His answer was not comfort, success, or happiness. It was meaning. Frankl believed human beings can survive almost any hardship if they understand why they are enduring it. Purpose is not a luxury. It is a psychological infrastructure. Without it, freedom becomes impossible to navigate. Without it, possibility just becomes noise. This explains a fascinating pattern emerging across modern culture. People are searching again, not simply for politics or ideology, but for raw orientation. Stoicism returns, disciplined culture returns, fitness culture explodes, traditional values and faiths appear in places they had long disappeared. Many observers treat these as separate trends. They are actually expressions of the same underlying need, the enduring search for direction in a world overflowing with choice. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius did not become popular again because people suddenly developed an academic interest in ancient philosophy. He became popular because modern life created a profound hunger for structure, a framework, a compass, something capable of answering the one question freedom cannot answer by itself. Now what? Jean-Paul Sartre famously wrote that human beings are condemned to be free. Most people hear freedom and think liberation. Sartre heard responsibility. Once the old authorities disappear, the burden shifts. The individual becomes entirely responsible for creating meaning, choosing a direction, and deciding what matters. Which is why purpose cannot be purchased, downloaded, or optimized into existence. Purpose emerges only when freedom encounters responsibility. It happens when life stops asking, "What do I want?" and begins asking, "What am I responsible for?" That question changes everything, because responsibility points completely beyond the self, toward contribution, legacy, and something larger than personal preference. The next crisis will not be a crisis of information. It will be a crisis of purpose. The future may produce a strange new industry, not the automation of labor, the automation of direction. AI systems that tell us what to watch, what to buy, where to go, who to become. A generation surrounded by automated guidance and starving for internal meaning. The future may not belong to the people with the most freedom. It may belong to the people with the strongest sense of internal direction. The most valuable individuals of the next decade will not be the most talented. They will be the people who know exactly why they are here. After spending a century expanding human freedom, civilization is about to spend the next century teaching people what to do with it. The greatest challenge of modern life may not be finding freedom. It may be learning how to carry it. Because freedom opens the door. Purpose decides where to walk. And if freedom tells us that everything is possible, purpose is the only thing left that finally answers. What is worth choosing? This is part of the TOMAAS prophecies, cinematic essays that don't just reflect the world, but read between its fractures, through layered visuals and emotional pattern recognition. Art isn't decoration, it's intel. It translates what we haven't yet learned to name, because by the time everyone understands the shift, it already happened. And if something here felt uncomfortable familiar, leave this thought it triggered. Even one sentence. And if you're drawn to the visual work behind these ideas, you can explore more of my digital artworks and original photography at TOMAAS.com.